Hello, YouTube. This is VidHead85. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode here. We're talking about 25 It Was the 90s movies that did not age well. So I'm going to say whether thumb up if I agree, thumbs down if I do not. I need a dissent collar so I could take it on and off. But hey, RBG can keep her shtick. Rest in peace, and hopefully we'll get a liberal to replace Clarence Thomas. But here we go. 25 popular 90s movies that are actually terrible. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I disagree because I actually liked it. It was fun. It felt like a good romp. You know, it was no cartoon one that with the fox as Robin Hood and the bear as the sidekick, but ultimately I think it was fun. And also Alan Rickman was in it and he was good. He was quite good as a sheriff of Nottingham. Moving on to Congo. Why did I say it like that? Anyway, oh yeah, and we have a still of Coco or Katie drinking a martini. You know what? Hey, I wouldn't mind hanging out with them. All I remember is Delroy Lindo telling Tim Curry not to stop eating a sesame cake, and yeah, that was pretty much it. As well as the battle at the end of it. So, do I agree that it was a terrible movie? Yeah, it was. It was bad. It was bad. I still watch it though, just to kind of remember why it's bad. Next one. This one I felt was underwhelming considering the whole like Star Wars thing and like, oh, there's a new one. There was so much hype. There was so much hype for this, and then I felt like it really just was underwhelming here. I did like some of the CGI, although Jar Jar Binks, of course, is annoying, and like they're always going to talk about that. But I really did like how they made the world come alive and the saber battles, especially against Darth Maul at the end. Moving on to the Boondock Saints, personally, I'm like, okay, I remember this, and I remember watching it, and I was just like, awesome, I love it, it's great. So I disagree that it's terrible. It's great. I enjoyed it. And personally, who doesn't want like to be able to like clean up the neighborhood and clean up like basically get rid of crime in their town? This one, oh god, this movie is a painful memory for me, and I'll tell you why. Has nothing to do with the movie though, although that was a painful experience. The first time I ever got a Charlie horse was when I got finished with this movie, and I went to get up to hit stop and rewind the tape, and I got a Charlie horse, and I was in my like inner thigh, and I was about to cry. Now, I would have thought this movie was bad enough, but to have that connected to it is like the cherry on top. I didn't like the Godzilla. I didn't care for the Godzilla character. I didn't care about the guy. I didn't care about Ferris Bueller's part in it, and he had a horrible like a complicated name for no reason. This one should be locked away forever so it can do no harm. Rookie of the Year, never saw it. Mortal Kombat, I dissent. I think that it actually is better than people say it is. I enjoyed it, of course, because the 90s, it was a formative time for me. But Mortal Kombat, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I do think that maybe if they redid it or something, that like when he challenges Sonya, she should like win against him, the villain, because he thinks she's a safe bet and she like cleans his clock. That would be more like a now thing than later. Okay, this next one, Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1996. I know about the book and the actual ending, and it would definitely, Disney would not have that in the book. Okay, spoiler. I'm going to hold my hand up for the spoiler and then take it down after I talk about the spoiler. The spoiler is pretty much he ends up in Notre Dame, and Esmeralda, his corpse and Esmeralda's corpse are pretty much like hugged together. So that was pretty much the end of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Is this one terrible? No. No, it is not. So I dissent. Next one, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. A new villain comes in to kind of, like control things or whatever. I don't know. It seems like a long episode. Is it bad? I don't think so. It definitely isn't like Power Rangers Once and Forever, because like that one I think is pretty much like tops in quality for me because of how they did it all, and it was really good. The Netflix one. This one I think I would dissent because this one is it's not horrible, it's not good, it's not terrible, it's not horrible. I think it's pretty decent. Okay, moving on to Jack. Never saw it. Meet Joe Black. This one was one where there are some things where there's some snags along the way, but overall it is a strong film. It is a strong film. It just does take a little too long. Look at me. Look at me. I'm saying Meet Joe Black is too long, and sometimes here I am making videos that are way too long. Casper! I disagree. Let me tell you something. Casper, especially when he turned into a boy, I was like, oh my gosh. And the way that what he was saying to Christina Ricci, I was like, what are my underwear doing like right near my ankles? I was what, 10, 9, 10 when this movie came out? So yes, whatever. I remember this stuff. So anyway, it was good. I would disagree. I think it's actually good, and I wouldn't mind revisiting this again. Species. What would Species be without an incredibly hot villain? I don't think it would have gotten anywhere. Does it have elements of action and sci-fi? Yes. Does it know what it is? I don't know. But when I really think about it, I think that the villainess, or the alien creature, is really what made this big. Next one is The Water Boy with Bobby Boucher, my boy, Adam Sandler. Now, Adam Sandler is not known for like highbrow comedy like Frasier, but I will admit that he has some of his projects have a way of making a world that is over the top but believable enough. The Waterboy, I believe, pulls this off. And we already know what kind of character Adam Sandler is going to usually be. So, is it terrible? I dissent. No. This is definitely a better, one of the better offerings for Adam Sandler. Moving to Volcano, I don't really remember a whole bunch of this. I remember, it's got Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Heche. I remember Dante's Peak, though, with Linda Hamilton and Pierce Brosnan. But, the only reason I even remember those two are because they were similar disaster movies. So Volcano, I really don't have an opinion on. The Flintstones, I enjoyed, but I don't really know what, I really don't know if I just remember the Flintstones being like a neutral thing. I used to watch the cartoons and all that, but I really don't have an opinion on the Flintstones right now. Wild Wild West, I did like that they had Will Smith in it, and I didn't know that it was a TV show in the '60s, and I believe maybe the like '50s and '60s. This was, I think it may have been when, like right around the tail end when it ended of like the westerns, because they were phasing it out at some points. But yeah, this one, I do like the elements of steampunk, but ultimately it just didn't hit right. So I would be in the majority on this one. And then we got Blank Check. Kid gets kissed on the lips after he spends in like a whole bunch of, he's given a blank check and he writes and spends all this money, and he gets a kiss on the lips by a lady at the end of it, and it's like, ew. Deep Blue Sea, is it terrible? No, I actually liked it. I actually like when man tries to like make things smarter and then they like disastrous. Kind of like that chemical in Food of the Gods that turned the rats all huge. Baby's Day Out was bad. Nope. Waterworld, I don't remember much of it. I just remember that it was just a big flop. And I really don't. I watched pieces of it. Or maybe I just watched it a little bit and then said nope. And then The English Patient, I really don't. I feel like it's a little bit pretentious. Mars Attacks was awesome. I loved it. It was great. Mars Attacks, yeah. I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. I dissent because it was fun. Vegas Vacation, don't really remember that one. And then the last one is Weekend at Bernie's 2. I actually like that one. I watched the first one. First one was great. While this one was almost like, I mean, like, they did it again, and I'm kind of like, okay, let's take a look at this. I liked it. Again, it was fun. So that is what time it is. So a lot of '90s movies haven't aged very well. Some people may disagree with me on these, but what are some that were not mentioned that you think weren't as good, or like in hindsight aren't all that great? As Good as It Gets is prime number one for me because Melvin Udall was an ass, and I personally don't care how brilliant he is. I would have been like, "You're never coming. You are banned from this restaurant." Period. Dot. End of story. But that's a whole other thing. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.